In today's market, buyers are being more considered and cautious, and that makes total sense.
People are still willing to stretch their budget for the property that does work for them.
Buying a home is taking longer than ever before. But why is this? The housing market can sometimes feel like it is a spinning wheel of constant change, making it hard for buyers to keep up. I'm here with Fiona Wong, Research and Insights Manager at REA Group, and Anthony Granata, Home Loan Specialist at Westpac, to discuss how buyers could get into the market sooner, whether it's their first home or their next home. So Fiona, how have things shifted in recent years? How long is it taking buyers to get into the market?
So our 2025 Property Seeker Survey says that the buying journey jumped from 23 weeks in 2022 to 40 weeks in 2025, which is almost double the time in the last 3 years.
Fiona, let's break this down just a little bit more. What does that actually look like?
Good question. So we see that Aussie buyers typically follow a certain path, which is made out of 5 key stages. The first one being actively monitoring the market, then they're searching for a property based on their specific criteria, then they're attending inspections with the intention to purchase, then they're putting in offers, and then the final step is the paperwork and the settlement. And interestingly, the time that they're taking the longest is the upfront section, so where they're monitoring the market, and which is typically taking around 13 weeks on average.
Wow. So, Anthony, that increase in time that it takes to buy, do you think this could have something to do with borrowing capacity and interest rates?
Yeah, indeed. Off the back of the rise in the RBA cash rate during 22 and into 23, most buyers saw that their borrowing capacity dropped quite a bit, so meaning they couldn't borrow as much as they might have planned originally. It's made things really tough, especially when property prices haven't come down in line with borrowing power. So it's no surprise that we've seen that time extend for people to find the right home.
Fiona, out of the different types of buyers, who is taking the longest?
So our survey data shows that downsizers, they take the crown for the longest journey. So they're taking around 46 weeks. And then upgraders that are very similarly, they're taking 45 weeks. And that's followed by first home buyers who are taking 40 weeks. And then investors, they're taking 31 weeks. But the fastest group are migrants who've lived in Australia for less than 10 years. They're only taking 25 weeks.
Okay, so is that length of time because some buyers simply aren't willing to compromise?
Buyers on average actually have 6.8 features on their must-have list. But the data does show us that migrants and first-home buyers are much more willing to compromise on their property criteria, while downsizers and upgraders, they may not be as willing to compromise. So this does impact the significant difference in terms of the length of the journeys.
Anthony, are you seeing this length of journey in your customers?
Certainly, and it's not about being picky or not willing to compromise. In today's market, buyers are being more considered and cautious, and that makes total sense. When you're making such a big financial and emotional decision, especially in a challenging market, it's completely fair to want to get it right. So it's not about being fussy, it's about finding a home that fits your lifestyle, your budget, and your future plans. Taking the right time to be thoughtful is actually really smart. I have some downsizing clients that have been looking for more than even 12 months. Each individual journey is very personal, and that is why I recommend having a chat early with a Westpac home loan specialist or a financial advisor so they can help you along the way with a tailored information for your specific circumstances and help you feel more in control of the process.
So what can borrowers do then to get into their ideal home sooner?
A great first step is getting really clear in what you can comfortably afford. It might sound simple, but focusing on properties within your budget could save you time, stress, and disappointment. I'd recommend using Westpac's home loan repayment calculator to model what your repayments might actually look like at various purchase prices, so you can get an indication of what you are comfortable with spending on a home loan.
True. And if you actually want to find out your financial comfort zone, listen to episode 2 for all the tips. In saying that, everybody does typically have a limit for their budget. Fiona, are we even seeing buyers stick to this?
Well, interestingly, out of the buyers who said they are intently looking to purchase, only 23% of them have actually obtained pre-approval. So which means there's actually only a very small amount of buyers who are really clear on what their budget is. But having said that, people are still willing to stretch their budget for the property that does work for them. With about 1 in 3, so 34% are spending more than what they've planned or they budgeted. Interestingly, it is the upsizers that are willing to pay more than they originally planned or budgeted for.
Look, I'm not surprised to hear that people are spending more. You know, property spec, location, budget, they are the three levers that buyers can pull when it comes to getting into a home. So my last question to you both, what's the number one piece of advice to get into a home sooner?
Well, looking at the data, those with a shorter must-have list generally get into homes earlier. So potentially being really clear on what's your must-haves and what are you willing to compromise on, I think that would really help.
Yes, my tip is to be prepared. Have your finances ready to go so that when you do find the home that you love, you can make a move. The more prepared you are with this, knowing what you can comfortably afford will go a long way in helping you narrow down the property search and hopefully speed up finding your ideal home.
That's all really great advice. Thank you for providing your insights. Thanks for listening to the Buyer's Handbook. Join us next time for more answers on the topics that matter most. For more help with your property journey, head to the Westpac How to Buy Hub on realestate.com.au. Eligibility, conditions, credit criteria, fees and charges apply. Residential lending is not available for non-Australian resident borrowers. This information is general in nature and has been prepared without taking your personal objectives, circumstances and needs into account. You should consider the appropriateness of the information to your own circumstances and, if necessary, seek appropriate professional advice.
Real Talk acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, air and community. We pay our respects to elders past and present.